They didn't even let him sit down. Malik Johnson stood at the edge of the glass-walled conference room, resume folder tucked under his arm, shoulders squared the way his mother taught him. Stand tall, even when they try to shrink you. The company logo gleamed behind the interviewer, like a badge of power. This was the final interview, the last hurdle, or so Malik thought. Across the table sat Richard Caldwell, Senior Operations Manager, gray suit, gold watch, the kind of man who never learned how to hide his contempt because, for most of his life, he never had to. Richard didn't look at Malik's resume. He looked at Malik. He smirked. "You know," Richard said, leaning back, arms crossed, "I'm not sure why HR even sent you to me." The room went quiet. Malik blinked. "Sir," Richard chuckled, the sound sharp and dismissive. "Let's be honest. This role requires leadership polish, a certain background. And frankly," his eyes scanned Malik head to toe, "you're just not qualified." The words hit harder than Malik expected. Not qualified. Not after graduating top of his class. Not after working nights and weekends to support his younger sister. Not after rebuilding broken apartments at 2 previous companies that never gave him credit. Malik swallowed. "With respect, my experience aligns directly with the job description. I led..." Richard cut him off with a raised hand. "Son, this isn't about checking boxes. This is a culture fit, and you don't fit." "Son," Malik felt a familiar burn in his chest. The same one he'd felt years ago when a teacher assumed he cheated, when a security guard followed him to a store, when a supervisor took credit for his work. Still, he stayed calm. "I appreciate your time," Malik said quietly. Richard smiled, satisfied. "Good luck out there." Malik walked out of the building with his head high, but the moment the doors closed behind him, the weight dropped. Rejection was one thing. Humiliation was another. What Malik didn't know was that someone had been watching. 2 floors above, in the HR director's office, Evelyn Brooks replayed the interview footage on her screen. She had a habit of reviewing final round interviews, especially when candidates came highly recommended. And Malik Johnson came very highly recommended. Evelyn's jaw tightened as Richard's voice echoed through the speakers. "You're just not qualified." She paused the video. Evelyn had spent 20 years in corporate HR. She knew bias when she saw it, and this wasn't subtle. This was reckless. She pulled up Malik's file. MBA from a top program. Former military logistics officer. Consultant who saved a failing regional branch over $2 million in 6 months. Not qualified? Evelyn exhaled slowly and picked up the phone. "Cancel Richard Caldwell's afternoon meetings," she said calmly, "and schedule an emergency executive review." Malik spent the next 3 days replaying the interview in his head, wondering if he should have said more or less. He almost didn't answer when an unknown number called his phone. "Mr. Johnson, this is Evelyn Brooks from HR at Caldwell Industries." His heart sank. "Here comes a polite rejection. We'd like you to come back in tomorrow morning." Malik frowned. "I was told I wasn't qualified." There was a pause. "Yes," Evelyn said, "and that's exactly why we need to talk." The next morning, Malik entered the same building, but this time he was escorted not to a conference room, but to the executive floor. Richard Caldwell was already there, jaw clenched, foot tapping. He looked irritated, defensive. Malik took a seat across from him. Moments later, Evelyn entered with 2 board members and a tablet in her hand. She didn't waste time. "We've reviewed the interview," she said, tapping the screen. The video began playing. Richard's own voice filled the room. "You're just not qualified." Evelyn stopped the playback and turned to him. "Richard, can you explain what qualifications Mr. Johnson lacked?" Richard shifted. "I meant soft skills, executive presence." Evelyn nodded slowly. "Interesting, because according to our data, Mr. Johnson scored higher in leadership assessments than any candidate this quarter." One of the board members leaned forward. "Then why wasn't he offered the role?" Richard opened his mouth. No sound came out. Evelyn turned to Malik. "Mr. Johnson, there's something else you should know." She slid a document across the table. It was an internal audit report, one Malik recognized immediately. 2 years ago, Malik had worked as an external consultant. He'd uncovered inefficiencies, redesigned workflows, and quietly fixed problems no one else could. That report had saved Caldwell Industries from a massive loss. Richard had taken credit for it. Malik's hands tightened. Evelyn continued. Our investigation shows that Mr. Johnson's work directly contributed to Richard Caldwell's last promotion. The room went silent. One of the board members looked at Richard. Is that true? Richard's face went pale. Evelyn stood. Effective immediately, Richard Caldwell is being placed on administrative leave pending further review. Richard shot up from his chair. You can't be serious. Evelyn didn't flinch. We're very serious. Then she turned to Malik. Mr. Johnson, she said, voice steady but warm, we'd like to formally offer you the position of Director of Operations. Malik's breath caught, but Evelyn wasn't done. With full authority to restructure the department, Malik looked at Richard, who couldn't even meet his eyes. Tables turned. Weeks later, Malik walked into his new office. The same halls, the same logo, but everything felt different now. Employees who once overlooked him now nodded with respect. Systems that had been broken for years were finally changing. Still, Malik knew this wasn't just a win for him. During his first all-hands meeting, he said it plainly. I didn't get here because someone gave me a chance. I got here because the truth refused to stay buried. The room erupted in applause. But as Malik settled into his role, an email landed in his inbox, marked. It contained documents Evelyn hadn't shown him yet. Documents that suggested Richard wasn't the only one who knew the truth, and chose to ignore it. Malik leaned back, eyes narrowing, because if the system had protected Richard once, how many others had it protected too? And what would it cost to expose them all? To be continued. Part 2.